What's your name? You just came forward. Nadaf? Nadaf, I'm saying it right. Okay, so Nadaf just came forward and we talked a little bit about science. Well, he explained it to me and I just listened. It's very interesting what he just said. It's very interesting. Because in Buddhism, we're only dealing with the aspect, right now, the topic is such that we don't really take into consideration faith. We're more taking into consideration reasoning and coming to a first-hand conclusion. And a lot of times, people nowadays have a problem with faith. They say faith, that's so unreliable. They consider faith to be blind faith. And there's oftentimes a discussion, people say there's no faith in Buddhism. Of course there's faith in Buddhism. But faith in Buddhism has two characteristics. It must be based on reasoning, and it must be temporary. It must be temporary. As in, like, you only have faith until you come to a first-hand experience. The goal is not to become a Buddha who's got faith but doesn't know. And our criticism of faith in many of the religious systems sometimes strikes me as so bizarre. Because I agree, having blind faith, we find that in Buddhism. There are definitely a lot of Tibetans who don't know much about Buddhism and they just have blind faith. And that's said to be very unreliable, of course we all know. And what people criticize other religions for, they still practice that because they have blind faith in science, if they're not scientists. So most people are not scientists. They're not scientists. And again, when we have discussions in class, they say, science has proven this. Science has proven there's no mind, or science has proven there's no reincarnation, or something like that. They make these claims, which is fine, and we discuss it, and in the end, they say, well, I read this somewhere, and someone said that, and so it's a pure sign of blind faith. I read it, a guy with a fancy PhD said so, and I Googled it, so it must be true. That's blind faith. Well, what was so interesting just talking to Nada, he said nothing has been proven by science. What? So all these claims over years, non-scientists keep telling me it's been proven by science. Now I hear from a scientist, I assume you're a scientist, nothing has been proven. Great.
It works.
Pardon? I'll quote you on that, Nada, from now. Still it works, okay.
Car works, phone works,
yeah.
Computer works.
Sure. I'm not discrediting time. I'm just saying, that is so interesting after being told, well, reincarnation, I don't really know, but science has proven such and such. Now I'm talking to someone who can actually tell me it's not true. So anyway, I'm just glad to hear that because there was a big surprise. Now, I don't know I don't know. I mean, proof in Buddhism, of course, proof is relative. What does that really mean? Incontrovertibly, no. And of course, the moment we start analyzing, still things start falling apart. So again, maybe there's also some part to that. From that perspective, it could be this. From another perspective, that, etc. So talking about matter being light waves or not, right? So maybe in that sense, I'm not really sure. But it's good to know that
conventionally it works. Ultimately, there are many questions.
Right, exactly. Which is true for Buddhism too. As long as we have the mind we have right now, conventionally it works, and there's still many questions. So I just find it interesting because our blind faith, from the religious aspect, we've just relocated it. We still have blind faith. So we previously believed everything the rabbi told us, or maybe in India the Buddha told us, or some other teacher, or, Jesus told us, or Abraham, okay. Now, we believe everything a guy with a fancy PhD told us, right? Unless we are the guy with a fancy PhD, then we know we can't be trusted all the way. All right. So, just to be sure, I mean, we have so much faith in things. We believe in things without really knowing the reason. We believe in so much, right? So, when people have a hard time saying, oh, reincarnation, you have to believe in something. I mean, you don't have to in the first place. Just allow the possibility, because if it really is reincarnation and you don't prepare, you're in trouble. Okay? So just allowing that possibility. But like I'm saying, in Buddhism or in any other system. So there are certain things we just cannot know, and temporarily we may take them on faith if it's helpful. But it should be temporary.
I have to defend science.
Okay, no, no, you need it.
Just one sentence.
Yes, please.
The difference is that in other religions, what is said, it's permanent.
Okay.
In science, if it's said tomorrow, it may be said in different way if a difference is proven. So this is something flexible and changing. And in this sense, science is a better place than others.
Well, when you talk about other religions, I don't know, I can't say. But I can only talk about Buddhism. Of course, the reasoning that is presented in Buddhism, what is one of the characteristics of, for instance, emptiness? Not dependent on another. That is really, it's not that you can understand emptiness just because someone tells you that. Okay? You need to come to your own understanding. So there's nothing is proven just because it's said. This is different from other religions. I know in Christianity, I remember I read this sentence, I googled something, and there was this sentence where it says, proof for the fact that Jesus is the Son of God. I was like, oh my God, they've got a proof for that. Oh, I need to find out. I clicked on it, and it said, the proof is because it says so in the Bible. Come on, that's wrong with one of you. Not a proof at all, just because someone said so, right? I mean, how do I know it's God said so? I don't even have any proof that God said so. I don't know who said it. I believe God said so. And even though God tells me, He could just tell me to test me. How do I know He's not saying it out of skillful means? Okay? So again, it doesn't prove anything. The point in from a Buddhist point of view, those words can direct you in the right direction. But what you eventually understand goes beyond those words anyway. So it's quite different to some other religions. And then that's the difference, and I don't want to advertise it or whatever. And proof, from a Buddhist point of view, there is incontrovertible knowledge. But incontrovertible knowledge is subjective. And I cannot implant that knowledge on someone else. I can only suggest a way to come to that knowledge. Okay? Like a direct experience of something.
So you think reincarnation is also can be incontrovertible knowledge?
Of course, I believe in reincarnation can absolutely be incontrovertibly known. One way is to just remember, right? Become aware and watch it, be aware and know about it. That's different. But even through reasoning, it can be incontrovertibly known that there's just no other way. If you understand the nature of mind, that if the mind continues on from one life to the next, and it's not cut, if we get to that knowledge, well then, it means like mind existed before this life, it existed in another life. And also, from a Buddhist point of view, what is really important is not just the causes and conditions we usually experience. They're also important, but there's also karma. Karma, like the causes and conditions we've created with our mind, they're also responsible for the environment. Okay? So, for instance, when we talk about stem cells, from a Buddhist point of view, those stem cells, as an example, they don't mention those, but why do certain cells become liver cells and lung cells, etc.? Well, from a Buddhist point of view, there's also the karmic force of the being who's connected to those stem cells, and for that reason, that's one of the reasons for experiencing those, for those transforming in a certain way. So, for instance, when we talk about identical twins, who at the time of conception are identical, like their DNA is identical, but then their DNA changes. From that moment onwards, it slightly changes. But why does it change one way for one twin and in a different way for another twin? Of course, there are external circumstances, but it's mainly the karmic force of the individual twin. Okay? Why are those changes? And that's taken into consideration from a Buddhist point of view, but of course it's very hard to prove at that point because it's so subtle. And it's just temporarily that you take it on faith, but that is hard to prove. So this is really, like it said, that only a Buddha really understands that very subtle working of causes and conditions. But that the mind must have existed before, etc. You can actually come to know that. You can come to realize that there is reincarnation. And there's steps in between, as in like, there's no other way. You're completely convinced, and then closer and closer you get to that state.
Even to direct realization.
Even to a direct realization through meditation.
Not in this, meditation.
Well, it's possible. It's even possible you become a Buddha in this lifetime. But of course, as we all know, it's really hard to do that, to become a Buddha. So, at least in this lifetime. So therefore, yes, there's definitely, and I believe there's proof for a lot of things that we right now call mystical. Existence of other beings. I mean, this is the only people that agree with me is that, like, I tend to talk to my relatives and they say, no, that's impossible. Like, for instance, like, we have this discussion that homeopathic medicine works or doesn't work. And so, like, some of my family say, no, it's all rubbish. It's just ripping people on homeopathic medicine. Because it has not been proven by science to work. And I'm asking, are you saying it has not been proven yet to work? Or are you saying it has been disproven to work? Two different things, right? So, sometimes people say, because it cannot be proven to work, it has to be proven not to work. But that's like saying it doesn't exist because I don't see it. Right? Have I seen it not to exist? Or am I merely not seeing that it exists? There's a difference. And science is still developing. I mean, if 300 years ago, people would say, no, it doesn't exist because science has not discovered it to exist, people would laugh. Because now we know in 300 years so much has happened. Even 100 years ago, even 20 years ago, people would laugh about it. But somehow people think, now we got all the answers. But no, there's going to be more and more over time. 100 years from now on, scientists may have proven the existence of other form of life that we cannot perceive right now. And I'm not talking about subtle, parasites or whatever that we haven't discovered yet. But even other forms, I believe, that's just my belief, but it could be wrong, that what the Buddha talked about, it can be scientifically proven, we just haven't found a way to do it yet. Right? And we can come to an individual knowledge on that, but my knowledge I cannot implant on someone else. Okay? So there are means to come to that point, but we have to all individually do it ourselves. Alright, that's just in terms of science. Oh, okay. Sorry, it's really rude of me to decide when to stop. What is it last?
Compassion in action.
She's got compassion for me, so. Great, alright. Now, that's 24th chapter. Now, 24th chapter is slightly easier. But I'm not promising the wrong thing, but I believe it's slightly easier. So, the first 6 verses, what they're saying is it the first 6? The first 6 is actually someone arguing, and it could be us, that lack of inherent existence, the way, and this is literally, it's actually Buddhist philosophers, not the Prasangika. So I've already mentioned it. There's one philosophical group called Prasangika, and then there are other philosophical groups that were philosophical views that were introduced by the Buddha himself, but only because certain individuals temporarily found it too hard to understand the Prasangika view. They needed some kind of some stepping stones that took them closer to the final view. So those philosophers, whether they still exist or not, it doesn't matter, but the philosophy is still around, so we talk as if they were still around, and they existed definitely at the time of Nagarjuna, and holding different philosophies, and to them, the Buddha had taught, to this particular group of people, the Buddha had actually suggested in his teachings that things exist inherently, that there's something there. Because if he hadn't suggested that, they would have fallen into the extreme of nihilism, like we do. So it's very helpful for these philosophies to be there. So they strongly believe that things existed inherently, because they argued, as Tom was saying, if there's nothing there, then nothing is possible. Right? It kind of makes sense. It makes sense to us too. Now those philosophers said, they argue here with the Prasangika. They said, if what you say is true, that nothing exists inherently, well then nothing would come into existence, because if it doesn't exist inherently, how can it come into existence? It cannot cease. And if that's not true, if nothing can come into existence or go out of existence, you can't have the Four Noble Truths. Because the Four Noble Truths are all about things coming into existence and things going out of existence. Wouldn't you agree? Truth of suffering is a result that has arisen in dependence on the origin of suffering. Cause and effect. Then you have the cessation of suffering, which is only possible. You cease suffering because you cease the cause. I can never say cease properly, so you can hear me go. Cease. I say cease. What? Cease. Cease.
You understand?
Alright, you understand. Okay. When you hear me say something weird, it's cease. Cease. Anyway, so here it's only possible in relation to a certain path. That comes into existence, and dependence on that, you remove, you take out of existence, that is, you remove, you eliminate suffering and its causes. So it's all about coming into existence, going out of existence. But if nothing exists truly or inherently, some philosophers would argue, well, then, if you don't have something inherent, nothing can come into existence, nothing can go out of existence, which is why the Four Noble Truths don't make sense. That's the first verse. So, what does it say? If all this were empty, there would be neither arising nor ceasing. For you, it would follow that the Four Noble Truths did not exist. For you, the Prasangikas. That's what they argue. So for you, according to you, they wouldn't be there. Since the Four Noble Truths would not exist, if they weren't there, it would follow there's no understanding of the first truth. There's no elimination of the second truth. There's no meditation actualizing here. I use the other way around. I guess it's because of the meter of the verse. So there's no actualizing of the cessation of suffering. And there's no meditation on the path that leads to the cessation of suffering. Right? Wouldn't be there because you don't have the Four Noble Truths. You don't have the activities, the actions that are associated with the Four Noble Truths. First truth needs to be understood, the second needs to be eliminated, the third needs to be actualized, and the third needs to be meditated on, or familiarized with, or practiced. Okay. As these would not exist, the four results would not exist. What are the four results? What are the four results?
Stream enter.
That's right. Stream enter, once returner, never returner, foe destroyer. You've never heard of those. No. They're quite simple, actually. Here we're talking about how we practice the Four Noble Truths. In other words, how we practice the path. How do we attain liberation? What is liberation? Is it about gaining something or about removing something? It's about removal. Right? Buddhahood, not even Buddhahood, even just simple good old liberation is about removing something from our mind that is extra, and not only extra, but causes us to suffer. Therefore, spiritual progress is actually about removing something. And you can only remove it if you've got the right vacuum cleaner. Right? If you've got something, a tool to remove it with. What is the vacuum cleaner that removes things?
Dyson.
Pardon?
Dyson.
What?
Dyson.
Oh, it's the name of the vacuum cleaner. No, it's actually... No, you're wrong. No, it is actually the mind that directly realizes emptiness. The mind that directly realizes emptiness, when you directly realize emptiness, it kind of acts like a vacuum cleaner, if you like, in the sense that automatically, when it arises in your mind, it removes certain obstructions. But it can't do so. I used to example in the past, what is that? What is the Jewish holiday where you clean everything?
Pesach.
Pesach. And so we talked about this, like the Pesach cleaning, right? So the tool you use to do the cleaning, like for instance, you clean all your cupboards, or you have to clean it from certain bread, right? Breadcrumbs. Rising bread, okay. So how do you go about it? First, the coarse of breadcrumbs. First, you remove those. And once they're gone, whatever kind of subtler stains are left in your cupboards. That's the way you remove dirt. First the coarser one, and then the subtler one. This is the same mechanism happens with regard to our mind. So what cleans the mind? Yep. So what cleans?
It's coming.
What cleans our mind from what is extra is the understanding of reality. Simply because it's our non-understanding reality that created all these extra mental states that are in the way. So obviously, or logically, that which removes those wrong perceptions or these harmful minds is the mind that perceives things correctly. Okay. But it does so step by step. It removes the coarser breadcrumbs, coarser obstructions first, and the subtler ones later. So there's a progressive way in which you remove them. And you can only start removing things once you realize emptiness directly. When you realize emptiness directly, and you have removed the first coarser types of obstructions, and only the ones that lead you to liberation, you call a stream entra. A stream entra, so you have a person who is an approacher, who approaches the result of a stream entra, and a person who's now become a stream entra. Okay? So the person who approaches the state of the stream entra is someone who realizes emptiness for the first time and now is actively eliminating the coarsest types of obstructions to liberation, the intellectually quiet one. And when you have reached that cessation, you've reached that state where the coarser ones have been eliminated, in that moment, when you reach that moment, you call a stream entra. You've entered the stream of eliminating whatever needs to be eliminated because you started doing that. So you're on your way to becoming liberated. That's the first result. So those are the intellectually quiet ones. You remove them. Then you move on and you start eliminating the innate ones, the ones we always have. We don't acquire in this lifetime because of wrong views. No, we're already born with, we carry with us. And they can be, in terms of the coarseness and subtlety, divided into 9 different types. 9 is coarser, right? 9 coarser, like a kind of category of coarser ones. That's the first. And then there's 9 ways in which you can divide it. So 9 different levels, which one after the other you eliminate. Okay? So there's usually 9 are described. And when you eliminate the first 6, you're called a once returner. Okay? The first 6 that are associated with the desire realm. We live right now in a type of existence that's called the desire realm. But there's also a type of existence that's called form realm or formless realm that is possible to exist in, but only if you reach certain states of meditation. So once you've eliminated the first 6 of the obstructions that are associated with the desire realm, when you eliminate those, you will only return to the desire realm once, not more, because no way you can return again. Never mind, that's just part of how the mind works and how you eliminate obstructions. So that's the second result, the result of a once returner, where you eliminate the first 6 obstructions that keep us within definitely the desire. Then you continue on and you eliminate all 9 associated with the desire realm, right? You eliminate those of the desire realm, and then you're called a never returner. And once you eliminate all other afflictions, then you become a foe destroyer. A foe, enemy destroyer. Foes, F-O-E, foe.
Oh, yeah.
An arhat. An arhat. An arhat is just another word for, since I used an arhat. So arhat is basically someone who destroys the enemy. Okay? Tibetan Dachomba, or in English foe destroyer. The only reason I use the Tibetan, usually we use the Sanskrit, but I used foe destroyer, I used stream enter, I didn't use the Sanskrit. For once returner, I didn't use Sanskrit. For never returner, I didn't use it. And so I didn't use it for foe destroyer either. But it means an arhat, someone who's attained liberation. So in other words, the last of the 4 results is the result of being an arhat. And the other ones are just levels in between, where the first one describes the person who's taken the first step, who's already eliminated the coarser types of afflictions, and the other 2 in between are just on their way. They're not the one at the beginning, the stream mentor. They haven't reached the result yet, but the 2 other levels in between.
What's the third?
The never returner, non-returner, or never returner. Those are those 3. So you find this explanation more in the Pali tradition than in the Nalanda tradition of Buddhism. So I'm using those words because His Holiness no longer likes to use the words Mahayana and Hinayana, not even uses Theravada. His Holiness talks about the Pali tradition, whereas the main scriptures are mainly based on the scriptures that were passed on in the Pali language, versus the Nalanda tradition, or the Sanskrit tradition, where most of the scriptures that the philosophy is based on were passed on in Sanskrit. Okay, that's the difference. So in Thailand, Burma, etc., the Theravada tradition or the Pali tradition, they talk more about these 4 results. In the Nalanda tradition or the Sanskrit tradition, like you find in the Tibetan Buddhism, there's less emphasis on that, but we still learn about them. We learn so much about them. Indonesia, which actually, in fact, we talk about 20 types, and actually not 20, there are 48. We learn about all these. I actually like that subject, however bizarre it is. But okay, never mind. So he's talking about the 4 results, which are what you need in order to become liberated. You need mainly the 4 noble truths. There's less emphasis, or there's no emphasis on the 6 perfections, for instance, or on bodhicitta. It may come up, of course, in the scriptures, but it's not necessary to become liberated, just to become liberated oneself. Here, the results that are described are the results of an arhat and 3 other results in between. And each of those results has a former moment of an approacher. Okay? So you have the resultant state of a stream enterer, and then what precedes it is a person who approaches that result. And then you have an approacher from the point of view of the once returner. Just a moment before you become a once returner, after you reach that resultant state, you're an approacher to that. So it makes 8 different people, but of those 8, there are 4 are approachers and 4 are results. That's all you need to know, because that's what's mentioned. For this now, that's all you need to know. It's a little abstract, it's a little weird, but if you understand a little bit about it, it's not that hard to grasp. Did you?
You said that there was the desire realm and the 3 others.
4 and formless realm. Okay, so just different states in which our mind can exist, basically. All right. So, as these, and go back to as these. If the 4 noble truth did not exist, the 4 results would not exist. Right? Because the 4 results are a result of meditating on the 4 noble truth. That is, understanding suffering, eliminating its cause or its origin, actualizing the cessation, and meditating on the path. Well, if those are all not there, you can't have the 4 results. Without the results,